DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one rated sportsbook app out there. I'm your host, Rudo, joined by AJ Hafley. As the Avs are, I guess, officially done with training camp. I mean, really, training camp's going to continue through the rest of the preseason, but they do play a preseason game tomorrow. So
it is funny how that designation works, where training camp is over, but Wednesday morning will look exactly like this morning.
Right. So they're just called practices now, I guess, is the only difference. Oh boy, here we go. The Tifosi is out today.
Look, you've got to love the Ferrari.
Nope.
You've got to love it.
Nope.
I mean, you could be wrong. That's okay too.
I'll go back to loving them when Mick goes. All right, I'll make my peace with it then.
And you know what? We welcome you in, brother. We welcome you in.
It's okay.
I tell you what, when Mick shows up, I'll get you your own Ferrari hat.
Oh wow, my own Ferrari hat. Really spending the big bucks.
I tell you what, $17.99 on Amazon.com.
Well, I'll always have that little dark corner of my heart that likes Lando, so we'll see. But anyway, on to today's topic. Lots of special teams work today for the Avalanche. I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit, but also going to be looking at this training camp as a whole. Who won, who lost? Lamborghini. Is Sampo a Ferrari guy? He might be. I don't know.
We should ask him. We should ask him if he has an opinion.
There you go. Ask the whole Avs locker room about F1.
Bud. Yeah, I've already watched it.
He's watched it like 3 times probably by now. So let's start with the groupings today, because the groupings were significantly different. They were set up for power play and penalty kill groups. In the world of reading way too much into things,
yeah,
is Martin Kaut going to make the lineup?
I mean, in the world of reading way too much into things, it looks like it, right?
Yeah.
No, I think this is just, and you and I have our suspicion that Group 2 is the one headed to Vegas.
Yeah, if you look at today's groups, which we don't have, but Evan sent a tweet out that had the list of them.
Yeah,
all the PTOs are in Group 2.
Yeah,
a lot of the guys that are probably going to get cut earlier in Group 2.
But also enough of the guys involved in the roster battle that it's meaningful, because you have that second line, Nichushkin, Kadri, Burakovsky. Mm-hmm. Then you have the new look other line, which is Jost, Newhook, and Kaut.
Yep.
And cheering for Ferrari is nothing like cheering for the Cowboys. Anisimov, Maltsev, and Sherwood as one of the other lines, with Mateau. This was his first day on ice. And so Mateau, Fontaine, and Wingerly. And then after that is like the other guys.
Yeah. But you're talking about Kaut in the mix there. Newhook.
Yeah.
In definitely. The mix of the lineup positions. Anisimov still trying to get a contract. Maltsev certainly in the mix. Sherwood maybe on the outside of that list as well. Those are the names that no doubt the Avs want to see a lot of. They're going to get a bunch of preseason games, the ones that continue forward and still have a chance to make the lineup. Even going down into Wingerly, and same thing on the back end to a certain extent, right? You have Jack Johnson down there. Where's Byram going to end up with these guys? EJ and Gerard spots are obviously locked in, but Group 2 felt a lot like this isn't really training camp. This is a bunch of dudes that are getting ready for a game tomorrow.
Yeah. Group 1, we'll get to Group 1. But
yeah, in a bit.
There were some. I felt bad for some dudes in Group 1.
Yeah, it was It was feasting time for the top end of Group 1.
You can call it. It was a buffet. No, so Group 2 and Group 2 is interesting because it's got what we think is probably going to be the second line to open the season.
Yep.
You and I are not sold that Val Nichushkin is going to stick next to Kadri and Burakovsky.
Not even a little bit.
They're gonna like on paper they've really talked themselves into this. They love this idea. Oh, he's gonna play the Landeskog role. That Landeskog plays on the top line, but then you remember that Landeskog is his 65-point guy on his own. And that Val Nichushkin is a 30-point guy who is significantly less talented than the guys he's going to be on a line with in terms of offensive output.
When Nichushkin has 2 points in 10 games and is dragging that line down.
I don't think it's going to take 10 games. I think
less.
I've got my absolute tops as 5.
Okay. I mean, I hope it's that aggressive. I hope they see what we see. Or, I mean, look, if Nichushkin goes off, great. Run with it. But
great. Like if this ends up being the perfect combination, then wonderful. Then you're really feeling good about the rest of your lineup.
But much the same way I think we feel about JT Compher. We've seen the Avs move Nichushkin up into the top 6 before, and it doesn't really work historically.
Right. Like the defensive work is still there. He's still solid. It's all good, right? Like you feel
he's probably not going to hurt you, but the production is unlikely to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just an F1 podcast now. I think. You wear a Ferrari hat one time.
I know, dude. I wear a Ferrari hat one time. But what does this prove? Your fandom day? Golly. I've already seen the Schumacher thing. Golly.
So
yeah. Anyway. Yeah, and so like I think that line is going that line is like that's your second line to open the season.
Yep.
Your first line, the three-headed monster. That line is done.
Yeah.
Now all the other lines after that are still in play. JT Compher spent practice today with Sampo Ranta and Oscar Olausson.
In the non-special team section, he spent his time with a line that it probably won't be in the NHL. I mean, we know Olausson won't. Be in the NHL.
Tell you what, though.
We'll get to it. Right now, we're focusing on Newhook and Jost and Kaut.
Yeah, but that line, like we've been pretty confident Newhook's making the opening night roster
somewhere.
Yeah, and Jost, obviously Jost. That's not a conversation. It's where does he fit? What role does he play into? And blah 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 blah. And then Martin Kaut is a guy that have felt like this guy's on the outside looking in, having to do something.
Yep.
And getting this kind of a look, if this is actually a line that they want to bring into a game, look, Kaut's had a really good training camp. So in the guise of the title of today's podcast,
he's a winner for sure.
He definitely is a winner. And the fact that he gets put on this line tells you, look, they wanted to see him next to these two guys for a reason.
Yep.
That doesn't mean he's made the team. That doesn't mean he's going to make the team, but it means that he did enough over the weekend, over the training camp to have the coaching staff say, we want to see this. And I could tell you a third line of those cats would be fun. You've got Tyson Jost. I mean, you've got Tyson Jost as the really
hard,
good,
bang him up, Logan O'Connor
the really good defensive player whose offensive game is still kind of figuring itself out, but a guy who has learned that he can get his ass kicked and handle it.
Yep.
He's the guy that takes the hit to make a play kind of guy. He's a guy that it hasn't always been pretty, but he's finding ways to be effective. And with Newhook, Newhook is the high offensive talent, the distributor here. And with Kaut has always been a high IQ player that just sort of gels with whatever line he's on. He's always been a guy who understands how to fit himself into the group he's playing in. If he needs to be a more offensive guy and he needs to drive it, and he's shown that he can do that. If he's going to be more of a complimentary guy and he's going to defer, he's shown that he can do that. He's a responsible defensive player. He's not overly flashy. There isn't a ton of sex appeal in his game. He's not super fast. Doesn't have a killer shot, but he does a lot of things really well. And you see that kind of trio right there, and you think that's a line that has a lot of upside. That if it can be responsible defensively, the biggest question, can that line take care of its own end? Because if it does, it's going to be problems for other lines.
I mean, stylistically, in a lot of ways, Kaut to that line is like Landy is to the top line. Obviously, there's a skill difference there, but you're going to have Kaut go in there and just kind of be the steady presence on the line, can play defense, can play offense, will provide whatever the line needs, like you were saying. And I think that's a perfect fit for Kaut. Ideally, he doesn't really have to drive play because that's going to be Newhook's department. The question is, how much offense can you get out of that lineup with Kaut and Jost around Newhook?
Yeah.
And depending on how much of that role Kaut can take, that could be a really, really interesting third line. Or if you get the consistent production out of Jost, a couple things fall into place there. And boy, that is a really intriguing, we'll put it that way. That's one that it's like, I posted my tweet of this pod today. I was like, can we just play some hockey games already? I want to see these things against real competition.
Definitely. And where Kaut is fighting uphill here is, what do you do with JT Compher?
Yep.
Because they love that dude. And he had himself a good day today. And the fact that they're putting him with two kids doesn't necessarily mean that they don't think he's part of the lineup anymore,
they
right?
Put him with two kids. They also put him on power play 1. So it's mixed signals there a little bit, you know?
Like, is that guy going to be your fourth guy? Is he going to take the Donskoy spot on your top power play and then play right wing on the fourth line? Or is he going to be your fourth line center with, because Compher's surrounded by Darren Helm and Logan O'Connor. Like, stylistically, it's not easy, or it's not hard to see the appeal from a coaching staff's perspective there either.
That's Mike Hoffman music is what that is.
Yeah. Like the competitive speed typing is like a funny way of referring to StarCraft.
300 APM.
Yeah, that's right. So I think it's also interesting, like Maltsev and Anisimov are getting a look together with Sherwood. All guys that are
the Anisimov one I think
right
is
in
interesting
there
too, right? Because he's a PTO. And you already put him on a third line where it was like, oh, he cannot really keep up with Ranta and Kaut, can he?
Yeah.
So now they're trying him next to Maltsev, who's a surefire fourth liner at this point, it feels like, for the Avs.
Yeah, he's going to have trouble keeping up with Maltsev and Sherwood, too. Those aren't slow guys.
I hear you, but it feels like they're already starting to try and find a spot for him. They're trying him with a bunch of guys that they have targeted for the bottom 6, and they're seeing if something clicks with him. Now, I still don't think that looks great when you compare it to Jack Johnson, the other PTO actually fighting for an NHL job. Johnson has looked solid every single day of camp.
Yeah. And who's he been paired with so far?
He was with Byram today, right? So
right.
He was. Who was he working with before they switched the groups up? I forget. Was it Murray?
It was
day 1 and 2.
Yeah, it was Murray.
Yeah. Okay. So those are NHL buds.
Like, and the thing with Jack Johnson that I actually feel good about right now is that everybody has talked about him as a depth guy.
Yeah.
Everybody has talked about him as, hey, we're going to need help beyond just these 6 guys. We're going to need some depth beyond that. And from training camp's perspective, Jack Johnson would be a winner. He's
Yeah,
looked fine.
Definitely a winner.
There were some reads that he made on Saturday that I didn't like. Some of it, stepping up on a guy at center ice and leaving your partner out to dry, that can't happen.
Yep.
But some of that is also, what's he? There's an adjustment period because different teams handle that situation differently.
100% by feel right now. The systems are not particularly installed yet, especially for the defenders.
And when he understands that the Avs don't do that very much, that they would prefer to try and deny at the blue line, or force a dump in and use their puck retrieval ability to go and get it, then he'll understand that he can't do stuff like that.
Yep.
Hopefully, right? Hopefully.
Yeah. I do want to get to Power Play 2 a little bit more in the chat, but we do have to hit up Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. You can get it on tap down at the bar, or of course find it at your local liquor store using the Breck Beer Locator online. Check out their Good Company hard seltzer as well, or skip all that and next Sunday just take the party bus. We filled it up for last weekend for the Broncos. Fill it up again. Maybe they'll be 4-0 after this week. You can get a round trip ticket to and from the stadium, Mile High. You get for $30, you get the ticket. You get to go to the DNVR tailgate. Yeah, in Power Field. There you go. You go to the tailgate. You get unlimited beer and pizza for ever the entire tailgate, unless we run out. But I believe they brought 500 beers this week, so pretty hard to run out.
60 pizzas.
Yeah, it was like 150 slices of pizza, more than that even. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of food and drink. So you can do that. Get the party bus ticket for $30. You get $20 just to go to the tailgate if you want to drive yourself. It was an awesome time. Highly recommend y'all go tailgate with us before the Broncos games. Get it while the getting's good. They're 3-0 right now. They can't stay undefeated forever. That's all I'm saying. And then after that, make sure you go to Green Mountain Dental to keep those teeth clean. They're just 15 minutes from downtown over in Lakewood, and they're an awesome place to go get your teeth cleaned. If you get a cleaning, x-ray, and exam with them, you get a free Sonicare toothbrush, and they take care of you from top to bottom. They give you reminders about when your appointment is, and they'll even remind you to schedule your next one so you're taking care of your teeth on a regular basis. They're awesome. Check out Green Mountain Dental Group today. Everyone who has swapped has loved them as a new dentist. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. If the Denver Broncos go 20-0, I will do something ridiculous. I promise you that. I don't even care what it is. Chat, you can tell me to do whatever you want if the Broncos go 20-0, because that will never happen. In any case, getting into the power play with Taves out, AJ, what would you like to see? Because as it stands today, Confer on power play 1 means that the second power play unit is made up of Kadri, Burakovsky, Nichushkin, presumably Gerard, and then a fifth spot that could be Taves when he's healthy. But in the immediate, sure seems like give it to Newhook, or do you go with Byram?
I give it to Newhook.
Okay.
We've just seen statistically speaking here, we've seen 2 defensemen power plays
be less effective,
score less than 4 forwards, 1D. League wide. I mean, how has Nashville not figured this out yet? Because they keep trying it. They've been running 2D power plays for seemingly years, and their power play is always bad.
Yep.
Despite having $25 million spent on that unit, it's still bad.
And the Avs in particular are in a spot with Alex Newhook where you fire up that dude's tape, and playing high on the power play, walking in is his bread and butter.
Good. Where he scores all of his goals.
Yeah, so
all of his goals.
It seems too easy to just drop Newhook in the high spot on that.
Yeah, and if you have two defensemen, then what you do is you put him there instead of Nichushkin.
Yep. Drop Nichushkin out of that. Roll it that way. Even then, though, it just gets muddled if you run two defensemen and you want Newhook to play high in the zone, right? So
yeah, I just think even with his playmaking ability down low, it's too easy to do. Like that's Nichushkin really shouldn't be on a power play unit, but
I mean he's the guy that you use as a large human being in front of the goalie, right? But
yeah, like for the time being, Jost, Newhook, I would start there.
Sure.
But if they're going to go 4 forwards, Nichushkin as the big guy to retrieve pucks, fine.
All right. And
we're talking about a unit that sees 30 seconds of power play anyway.
And ultimately, Nichushkin kind of falls into the same category, at least for you and I, as he does with the second line, where it's like, all right, it's probably going to start this way, but as the season progresses, I have no doubt we will see a rotating cast of forwards, especially on that second unit.
Yeah, no way I'm putting Byram over Sam Girard.
Nope. Definitely not right now. Byram has 2 NHL points to his name, so
yeah,
that would be a tough sell.
Sorry, we're talking since Sam Girard came into the league, he's been a good producer on that unit.
Yep. And I'm confident he will continue to be a good producer. So
in the last 4 years, has more power play points than Zach Werenski, Thomas Chabot, Mikhail Sergachev, a bunch of other dudes. So no, I'm not doing that. I'm not putting Byram there. Certainly not right away. Sam Girard is a proven power play quarterback. He runs a power play really, really well. Even without Sam Girard being able to shoot, he runs a power play very well.
All right. Yeah. Unfortunately for the annexation of Puerto Rico, every team in the league knows that trick now. So it doesn't really work anymore. Hello, person from Newfoundland. Maybe you can tell me.
Newfoundland?
Can I call you a Newfie? Is that allowed? Because I mean it as like a term of endearment. But last time I called Newhook a Newfie, a lot of people got mad at me.
I'm going to stay out of this. JT Compher on a power play is fine. It's not.
Look, the reality of the Avs power play is you could drop any competent NHL player into the bumper spot and it would be fine.
Yeah. And his appeal there is that he's right-handed.
Yep.
And that changes kind of how they run what they've. It changes how they run their power play. Because if that guy's left-handed, they don't have any other. They don't have any other option there. Like putting Kadri there it has shown to not be very effective in a lot of time, a lot of minutes played.
Yep.
It's just they want a right shot there. Like I wish that wasn't the case. And if they were so obsessed with getting a right shot, they should have just gone out and gotten Phil Kessel and been done with it. But as it is,
Yep.
They want the right shot there, and it's not like Jonas Donskoy was incredible there last year.
He was for 2 weeks.
I mean, he was. You know how Donskoy is.
Yeah.
He absolutely catches fire and scores all of his points in 3.5 weeks, and then you forget he exists for a month and a half, and you're like, "Oh right, that guy."
Yeah, and I think the reality here, as we're preparing for Game 1 of preseason, you're not gonna see like what you saw out of Seattle the other night, right? The Avs are gonna throw out a lot of guys who you're never going to talk about again tomorrow night. That's the prediction.
Yeah. Yeah, firing up the Seattle game last night, I was like,
They're going hard.
This is their NHL team.
It was an interesting choice. Yeah,
I
helmets
mean,
on the PK,
do it for the fans, right? For game one, you actually get to see.
Yeah.
And then my guy Morgan Geeky, what's up? 2 goals, baby.
Yeah. It should be fun. It should be fun for Seattle, but reality check is coming in about 2 weeks. So should be interesting on their side. On the Av side, we haven't really talked about the PK units at all. Most of the PK units are a lot more clear cut than the forward side. So there's not a ton to go in on that side.
Yeah, and with the way that the groups were broken up, they were always, every PK unit was half AHLers, half NHLers.
Right.
There was never a full PK unit.
The closest to like a real PK unit was Bowers and Magna together.
Yeah, and it was like so the highlight that the Avs posted on Twitter today of McKinnon going end to end, where the defenseman's sticks are upside down.
Yeah.
And it was like Andreas Englund.
Yep.
It was a good highlight.
You have a defenseman without a stick, essentially, that is not an NHLer.
Yeah.
Going up against Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah. Andreas Englund and Curtis McDermott were paired together and had their sticks upside down. So when he rolls into the zone, and I think like Bednar was like, Nate, we're trying to work on
turn
it
down a notch, bud. Yeah.
We don't get anything out of you doing this. Like, we know that you can do this. And like, he scores on Eustace Annunen, and you're like, wow, tore up all those AHL guys, man.
Well, and that was
the AHL better watch out for Nathan McKinnon this year.
That was the entirety of Group 1. I'm sure AJ was rolling his eyes as much as I was, because every other penalty kill group, it was like, yeah, you have to go up against one of the best power play units in the world.
Yeah.
And like, you are Miles Gendron and Dennis Gilbert. So sorry.
A very good power play unit during the regular season that went absolutely bananas in the playoffs.
Yep.
Like, oh, well, damn. Look at that. Their sticks upside down. Not a lot of resistance provided there.
Nathan McKinnon walks in and does it.
And like, the players were like, okay, whatever, but the crowd went nuts, and that's when they started raising the sticks and getting into it.
That was I was surprised how much the crowd was cheering for the power play goals in that first group. They were vibing.
Yeah, how much of it is a fan base that is still eternally convinced that their power play is bad?
Yeah, well, maybe a little some of that, but who knows on that front.
Yeah, like Nate does do that to top pairings in the NHL because he's Nate McKinnon. Yeah.
Yep.
But it was not useful or meaningful when he did it to a bunch of dudes. Like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Nate.
You're Dennis
was there any doubt he could do that to Andreas Englund?
Right. You're Dennis Gilbert, and you woke up today and you're like, all right, I need to have another good day of camp to get my name into the mix of call-ups for the Avalanche, right? And you step out onto the ice, and Nathan McKinnon is going 100% against you on the penalty kill, and you're like, shit. Guess I'm not going to have a good day. It's going to be rough. But it was just weird. I don't know why they felt like they needed to run their top power play unit at all, but they did. So that was a thing. The rest of Group 1 was kind of weirdly hodgepodge together, it felt like.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, at least Olausen had a good day.
Yeah, so let's at least just touch on that second unit in the first group, like Dylan Sakura and Sampo Ranta and Oscar Olausen, and it was a solid group with Justin Barron running the point.
Yep.
Barron looks really comfortable.
I thought Barron looked great today. His stick work on the 2-on-1s is so good.
So talk about getting some opportunity, because he went. He was with Jacob McDonald today.
Yep.
And Bednar has talked him up quite a bit.
Yep.
And it's starting to get to the point
you're
where
trying
you're
to
like,
sneak that name into the mix, maybe.
well, it's to the point where you're like, they might keep this guy for all 6 preseason games and just see if he forces their hand.
Last cut kind of situation.
Like they're like holding off on a Jack Johnson contract. Like, Justin Barron does this. We don't really need this guy, right?
Yeah. Another guy, though. One of the big things we've talked about is you want to see more physicality out of him. You got to show that in the preseason if you get the opportunity, right?
Yeah, definitely. But we also saw the guy that's supposed to be the answer to all the physical prayers was Curtis McDermott, and you can't play him on a PK.
Dudes are just going to skate circles around him if you do.
Yeah. It was bad today. It was not. I mean, to be fair, like Ryan Murray didn't look good on the PK either. But again, Ryan Murray's out there with a bunch of dudes that he's not going to be playing with during the regular season, and
it was, I know this isn't where we were headed, but it was a weird day for Ryan Murray. They had him paired with Makar for the first half of the day,
which you think would have been good, but it did not.
They did
look
not
great
at all. Yeah,
they were like you and I were talking about, like not even just the same page, but they were just different books altogether.
Yep,
there was no natural chemistry there whatsoever. They were totally like Murray made a nice play or two at the blue line that I liked, but anytime they would get in and actually have entry, which was the drill they were doing
so quickly. Yep,
it was a real struggle. Like you look down the line, you look at the other pair. Gerard and Johnson, way more natural together.
That's a given, but yeah.
McDonald and Barron as like a possible third pairing or a top pairing in Loveland looked great together.
It was, they kept their game simple, right? There wasn't anything super complex, and you saw Makar and Murray just we're trying to do things on 2 different wavelengths, like you were saying.
Yeah, it was like, Makar is accustomed to guys who know how he wants to play and know that he aggressively moves pucks all over the place if he doesn't carry them out. And Murray just did not seem to be on that wavelength where, again, I wonder how much of this is a style thing.
Could be.
Where they, different systems. Murray has played his entire career in really conservative defensive systems that emphasize high and out off the glass. They don't ask guys to regularly carry pucks. Whereas in Colorado, that's the goal. Carry
Always
pucks, move pucks. Yeah. Reverse to a teammate, reload to a teammate. We want controlled exits. We want controlled entries. We want control of the puck, because when you don't have control of the puck, you're fighting for control of the puck. So when you have it, don't just give it to the other team. And that's kind of been Colorado's basic philosophy the last few years. And seeing Ryan Murray try and adjust to, they value the puck differently here than in previous stops. It's going to be a thing. It's the same thing that we were talking about with Jack Johnson. Like you've got to make reads that fit the way that your team is valuing the puck. And it's right now, those guys are adjusting. It's training camp. They've been in the system for a week.
Right.
So it's going to take some time here.
No doubt.
But like Ryan Murray and Jack Johnson together looked comfortable. It looked like they've played together before because they have.
These are the type of things that, like, you don't read too much into them, but you plant a little flag in your memory, right? And when you get into preseason games, or maybe if it's even a regular season game, and you get a handful of shifts of Murray and Makar together for whatever reason, if it looks like it did in preseason, quick pump the brakes and say, all right, that's not an option anymore if it continues to look like it did. Or you see it looks significantly better, and you say, all right, you can chalk that up to just the players didn't know each other, Murray didn't know the systems, whatever. But it's one of those, I don't want to call it a red flag because I don't think it's that pertinent, but you just make a note of it, right? And if it comes up later, you're confirming what it was or wasn't. So
What?
Yeah, I feel like there should be a second name there.
I feel like we got 95% of
Yeah.
the question.
Yeah, didn't quite finish that one, but while we wait for possibly the rest of that question, don't get 95% of the meat. Get all 100% from Hassel Cattle Company.
There was a coin flip which ad read we were walking into.
It always is. It always is with Hassel. No, this time go get their Wagyu beef. It's absolutely delicious. The burger down at the bar it just crushes. It's so good. I cannot recommend it enough, but you can also get the rest of their meat as well, whether it be their tomahawk steaks, ribeyes, they got bone-in, they got sirloins, they got so much different types of meat. That's all super good, super delicious. You can't go wrong. And you can get 10% off when you use code DNVR10 at HassleCattleCompany.com for orders over $200 or more. You get free shipping to boot. And then you can get some Strava Craft coffee. Maybe you like a little bit of coffee to go with your steak. You can get 25% off with Strava with code DNVR25 at StravaCraftCoffee.com. You can also get them cold brew down at the DNVR bar. That's your type of thing. Go check that out. The CBD infused coffee is known to help with migraines, joint pain, IBS, all sorts of stuff. So it's super nice when it comes to that type of thing. If that's not enough for you, then you can go to Solace Meds and get yourself some proper THC products in store. They have numbers of different products ranging from 15 to 25% off. So head on into one of their 4 locations and see what's on sale. You can also get 20% off when you schedule for pickup online at solacemeds.com, SOLACE meds.com. You can get it, order it, walk in, grab your stuff, walk out. Super fast, super easy. Jump on that. When you go to the Wheat Ridge location, you can also get a free King Cone with any purchase, too. So, if you want to go get high, Solace Meds, the place to go get your stuff. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Yeah, Curtis Gabriel, the old wild plug that was around for a couple years. I see.
Yo, speaking of which, apparently the Winter Classic is gonna have a Stanley Cup display in Minnesota. Doesn't that seem kind of cruel?
Hey, look, all right, it's
like taunting them.
Yeah, that's the longest amount of time the couple have spent in Minnesota. So
that would be like when I was a kid. It would be like my parents having like a display of a donut in the kitchen. You just can't. This is not something that you're allowed to have, sucker.
Are you sure that wasn't LeClaire's family?
Maybe.
And they would wake up every morning and be like, "This is you."
I mean,
Point to the donut.
The donut man knows. I'm just saying. It just seems kind of cold-blooded to have a Stanley Cup display and be like, "This isn't relevant to your interests. You haven't won one of these. You're not going to. The closest you ever got was when Dallas did it with half your team."
Yeah.
I just think it's cold-blooded. That's all.
Look, I mean, how are they going to get it there? Because none of their cars have cup holders. It's a tough life out there in Minnesota. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, that's why they all move away.
Look.
To Denver.
They have to have.
Please stop.
They have to have something worth looking at that game because God knows the jerseys are hideous.
Yo, with those elbow pads? Yeah. What you doing with your elbows that would necessitate these? So random. They look like huge Band-Aids on the elbows. I don't know. Those jerseys are ugly.
I agree.
It was like they had every idea and just kept saying yes to them. Well, and instead of somebody sitting down and being like, okay, how about some of these ideas? And they were like, no, all of them. Yes to every idea that we have.
Well, and there are people that are like, well, think about all the history and behind Minnesota hockey and all these jerseys. And I'm like, that's fine. It's cool that there's history behind them. The history of Minnesota hockey jerseys is ugly as hell, though. Sorry. Truth hurts sometimes. I don't know what to tell you, Minnesota. In any case, off on a little bit of a tangent here. Getting back to training camp. AJ, who is the biggest winner of training camp for the Avs? Is it Jack Johnson?
Right now it's Darcy Kemper.
Okay.
Because he's healthy.
True.
And he's getting ready to embark on a contract year behind by far the best team he's ever been on.
Yeah.
So
I got no
side door
Darcy
that, Kemper, but actual training camp winner. I mean, I think the PTO, like the tryout guys in general. But we saw Matej Kazlik is still getting looks in the lineup.
Yep.
Getting PK looks and playing next to Powers today. I guess you could, however, that's perspective. Either that's bad for Powers or good for Kazlik. However you want to look at it, I suppose.
Pick your poison.
But he's still around. I mean, Jack O'Brien is still hanging around on an ATO. It's a bummer about what happened for Pfizer. You know, he got hurt in the rookie tournament and never really got to show at camp. Yeah. Okay. That's not going to happen. We're beyond this. If they were going to do that stuff, they would have done it over the summer when they could have immediately turned around and spent that $3.5 million on something. So they're not just going to dump him. Other guys, Gabriel Fontaine was on a PTO and got an AHL deal.
Yep, has a contract with the Eagles now.
Now the other PTOs are Johnson and Anisimov.
Yep.
Johnson looks like he's definitely on his way to a contract. Anisimov, I'm less sold on him getting one, but we'll see.
If you and I were running the show, he certainly wouldn't be getting one, but
I just don't know where you put him at this point. I mean, you wanted to see what some of the young guys would do, and right now, I mean, Sampo.
Right, that's exactly who I'm going to say. Sampo, Count, Bowers have all had good to great camps.
Yeah, they've all been much better than Anisimov was. Just strictly in training camp.
Of course. They play preseason games for a reason. So.
And you also remember, like, Val Nichushkin looked like shit his first camp here. And they loved him. They were just like, we're keeping him. We love him. He was also on a contract.
Yep.
Also, yeah, Maltsev, we haven't even really talked about Maltsev much. He's looked fine, but that's a guy the games are going to mean something to. He really needs the games to start doing something.
To turn it up. Compared to Helm and O'Connor, who just walk right in and did their thing as fourth liners for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So Maltsev's got to really figure out that role and how to be effective and how, what Bednar is looking for from guys who play that role, because it may not be the same as it was in Jersey last year.
Yeah. It's surprising. There have been a significant number of guys that have had really solid camps. And even the guys who you really haven't liked at camp that much, like an Olausen, had a damn good day today.
Yep.
So,
I mean, guys that we haven't really talked about, like Andreas Wingerly, is more intriguing moving forward than a guy like Anisimov. But
agreed.
They also might just say, look, we want to see what Anisimov gives us in NHL games. He's done it before. We're comfortable with it. We just want to see how it looks. And they might just give him a deal and try and make it work. And look, the Val Nichushkin thing stands as the gold standard of they tried something that was not super popular with people like me, and I've been wrong about it every day since. So, maybe it works. That is a thing where it's like, well, maybe this goes well. You just don't know.
You never know, but it does feel this year, especially the Avs have less roster room to do things like that, right?
It does. It feels like the ceiling or the floor of the roster has been raised high enough that you're talking about the ceiling of the guys that are involved, because normally there's this big drop off to the AHL guys, and I don't think there is this year. You know, if you assume that the 12 that we think are going to be their 12 opening night forwards, and then you get into Anisimov versus Kaut versus Powers versus Magna versus Dylan Sakura versus Andreas Wingerly. And it's just like, is there a really big gap between
how much
those
are
guys
you separating these dudes? Yeah,
today? Because
right.
there's no doubt Artem Anisimov has had the best career of all of those guys 100 times over.
But is he still that guy?
But that, like, what he's done to this point just is not necessarily indicative of who he is, given the recent struggles.
Kevin, you had it right, by the way. It's a Leafs documentary, so All for Nothing is fine.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch it.
I think it'll be a great show, but
I think it's more behind the scenes documentary. Like watching Drive to Survive on Netflix, all I can think about is, how is the NHL not thinking of doing something like this?
Every sports league in the world should be all over that stuff, because it's great content. Everyone I've watched, like Sunderland Till I Die on the soccer side, amazing content. All of those things, so good. I'm surprised it took other leagues this long to figure it out. But
I mean, yeah, and it at this rate, it's like the NHL will be the last one to figure it out, and like no surprise that Toronto is doing it first.
Yep.
Like understanding that their fans will devour anything.
Toronto could film a turd for 45 minutes and slap a Leafs logo on it, and their fan base would eat it up. No offense to y'all, Toronto. I'm sure you're great people.
Metaphorically eat it up. They wouldn't actually eat the poop he's talking about.
Right. But I'm saying that
gross.
That city is just so hungry for any Leafs content that it's
anyway.
Just, before I dig my hole any deeper here.
Yeah. That had a very dark turn.
So the reality is, let's start wrapping up with one more reality check here, right? You still have not seen any of these guys on this team play a proper game together. Yep. You saw the rookie tournament stuff, which was what it was. Mm-hmm. You're going against other teams' rookies. The quality of competition there is a big question mark. You've seen training camp. You've seen some scrimmagey type stuff, but, especially the guys at the top are going maybe 80% at most.
Yeah.
In training camp. And now you're going to see, I don't want to say some good old fashioned hate, but you're going to see guys who are going into a game playing against an opponent that they don't have to go back to the locker room and talk to after the game, right? Someone that they can get a little bit more aggressive, get a little bit of that effort level up a little bit higher starting tomorrow.
Definitely.
So
let's do just quick list of winners, losers from camp preseason so far as we head into the first game tomorrow.
Okay.
Jack Johnson,
definitely a winner. I would say Martin Kaut, probably a winner.
Agreed.
You go beyond that, and is Jack O'Brien a winner? Kind of. Is Kazlik a winner? Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not really calling anyone in the Avs top 6 forwards a winner or a loser, because they're just kind of there for training camp.
Nichushkin a winner because he's somehow gotten a top 6 job in the NHL.
I guess
by default.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you play left wing, and we need that.
I guess EJ's a winner because he looks healthy.
Yeah, I mean, the Avs defense
in general
looks maybe a little deeper than we expected, with Jacob McDonald and Justin Barron looking as good as they have,
both rolling up and showing out.
And then obviously, like, if Jack Johnson is just able to tread water,
serviceable NHL player. Ranta's probably a winner too.
Yeah, I've liked Sampo. Yeah.
Yep.
Dennis Gilbert, I think, strung together some good days, except for today. I wasn't a fan today.
Yep. And even a good day today, I think it would be hard to call Gilbert a winner at this.
Just never really. It looked like my fandom or my liking of what I saw from Gilbert was not echoed by the coaching staff.
Yeah.
So, just the lack of a really, I guess, meaningful opportunity.
Yep. Bowers is an interesting one. Based on his play, I would say winner. Based on the situation that he's in, he feels a little bit buried still.
Yeah, Bowers is kind of he's kind of in the middle of everything.
Yeah, agreed.
Whoa.
Yeah, you made it to the mute button there. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, Darren Helm is Darren Helm.
Yeah, he was exactly what you expected out of him, right? Like, would you call Olausen a loser?
It's really hard to call anybody a loser in a training camp.
Yeah, right, that's what I'm saying.
But I think what it would be fair to say is that Oscar Olausen is going to take this whole experience and forget about it as quickly as possible and move on to the OHL.
Fire. Yeah.
Just forget about it.
Yeah.
Really, and with Olausen, what I think he can take away from this is that he's got clear areas of his game to work on.
Yeah.
That no doubt has been communicated to him. And hopefully that communication has been clear because he really needs to work on his English. We saw a little bit of the rocket of a shot today. So that was cool.
There is NHL talent in there somewhere.
There are NHL skills like his size, his skating, and his shot.
Yep.
Those are the things. It feels very much like I'm talking about Sampo Ranta 3 years ago.
Fairly similar, yeah. So
if he can get himself to where Sampo is today, great. That is a great development path and a track that he should try and get himself on.
Yep.
Yeah, I think if you have to, I hate it. It just doesn't feel good calling guys losers in camp. But I
hear you. Yeah.
Olausen, I think that's fair. I would say, let me look at this list and see if there's anybody else that really stood. I mean, I feel like all I ever do is bag on Curtis McDermott, and I don't like that. But I didn't see anything to make me feel better in camp about him.
Look, I don't think Curtis McDermott's role changed inside the organization at all based on this camp, but I agree. For the people who are down on him, he looked exactly like you expected him to look.
Yeah. This was a great I think that this was a really good exercise in confirmation bias on Curtis McDermott.
Yep.
You didn't expect to see a whole lot. You didn't see a whole lot. This is also like the blocking shots and hitting people and, fighting to stick up for a team. None of this shit is going to happen in training camp anymore. So again, we talk about this in rookie camps a lot with defensive defensemen. Situations set up for a guy to not look very good. Yep. He looked very good.
In the first preseason game he plays, maybe he smokes a dude 30 seconds into his first shift. Like
a guy tries to, he closes the gap and he puts a guy into the wall and just drills this dude. And you're just like, there it is. Okay, get it. Makes more sense now. Like totally a possible thing that could take place here. I think if we're looking for another guy that I would say as a loser, Maltsev a little bit, because he started out on a surefire fourth line and did not do anything really that didn't have a great first day. He had a better second day, but a better second day is only relative to a bad first day. If his second day had been his first day, how excited would we have been about it? Not very.
And from an outside perspective at a training camp, you're looking for a guy to have a day that really pops. Like Couts Saturday, where
Yeah.
a dude is
Oh,
just
my
doing
dude.
everything at a super high level.
Yeah, he was hot Saturday.
And Maltsev never really popped. He
Yeah.
had okay to solid days.
Maltsev was kind of a worse fears realized kind of camp where he came in, and my concern of, is this just another Kamenev where they liked the size, they like the tools, they think he can help at center, but as a fourth line center, you have to have a certain mentality as a fourth line center. Yep. As a fourth line player, your mentality has to change. You're not a skill guy. You're not a guy that's going to get a lot of puck touches. You're not a guy that's going to get 19 shifts in a game to make a difference. You've got 12 shifts to go out there and skate 100%, go 100% in absolutely everything that you do. Hits every single guy that gets anywhere within arm's reach of you. Do everything and don't take any penalties. You got to go balls to the wall. And we saw both Darren Helm and Logan O'Connor and understand that and get that. They get that mentality. They understand how to be a fourth line guy in the NHL. And it looks like Mikhail Maltsev is still trying to figure that out. And if that switch doesn't get flipped in time, he's going to lose that job.
It's not only that. Not only does he need that switch on the fourth line, the more I watch that line, the more I see Maltsev as the guy that has to be the offensively productive guy.
Definitely. And that's where it makes sense because he has a good shot.
Yeah, but that's not an easy role to be in, right? Helm and O'Connor find ways to be in the lineup because they can penalty kill. Even guys like Comfort, like Jost, like Nichushkin, there's a bunch of dudes in that lineup that are going to be ahead of Maltsev on the penalty killing order. Yeah. So if Maltsev is on the fourth line and he's not giving them the production that they need, it becomes real easy to quickly take him out.
Well, in my mind, it becomes really easy to move Darren Helm into the middle and put Curtis McDermott on that wing.
Sure.
Because then you have three guys who understand. Skate as hard as you can, hit people every single chance you get. Yep. You go out there to wear them down, to make life miserable, to create as much chaos as you can, maybe to piss somebody off, and for Logan O'Connor to flash the big old teeth at him and be like, nah, 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 nah. Just be as miserable of human beings as possible. Like, if Maltsev's not going to be able to figure that out, seriously, just throw Curtis McDermott into that role and let him go crush dudes on the forecheck. I would much rather that than watching him skate backwards and get walked over and over and over. Seriously, that's where I think if McDermott is going to find some value, it's going to be on a fourth line where he can just go be big, go hit somebody, jar a puck loose, and he's always had a pretty good shot. If he can utilize that a little bit on that fourth line, that's my path to Curtis McDermott having success. It's nowhere involved in him being a defenseman. But because Taves is hurt right now, they want to see what they've got there. They're going to start there, and we'll see where it goes. But I would say, looking at it, that Maltsev a little bit of a camp loser.
Sure, I'm happy with that conversation. Again, it's training camp. Don't read too much into it.
Seriously, it's training camp. Like, this could all be completely irrelevant in a week if these guys go out and have good or bad preseason games.
Yep. So, moving on from there, the Avs play their first preseason game tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to it. That one will be watchable. It's on NHL Network. If you have it, great. If you don't have it, do what you got to do. Should be a fun game. I'm not expecting particularly NHL-laden rosters, but still, first preseason game counts for something, right? Should be exciting.
It's always good to see them get back out on the ice and just a little extra added.
Yep.
Because they're starting their season where it ended.
Yep. Vegas.
Although a lot of the guys that are going to be in that game tomorrow probably had nothing to do with that playoff series. Like Nazem Kadri.
Oof. Right there. We'll leave you at that. We will be back tomorrow night for a post game after that preseason game. Hope y'all will tune in for that one. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We love y'all. Thank you for watching, listening, however you consume. We will talk to you again tomorrow.